Some breaking news announced by the National Football League this morning. The Philadelphia Eagles will host the Dallas Cowboys in Week 1 to kick off the 2025 NFL season. You're watching Philadelphia Eagles Now by Chat Sports. Chase Sr. here with you, and no matter where you are, how you're tuned in, thank you so much for making today's show a part of your day, and I hope everybody out there had a fun-filled weekend. And because this is a pro-Eagles channel, an anti-Cowboys channel, and we always hate the Cowboys every single day, 365, it's Go Birds all day. If you hate the Dallas Cowboys, I want you to hit that thumbs up icon, like the video, and type F Dallas down in the chat. Let's get the juices for this rivalry going once again. So it is officially NFL schedule release week. Official schedules for all 32 teams in the NFL will be released on Wednesday, May 14th. So a couple of days away from that. And in the lead up to Wednesday, the NFL is also going to announce a few marquee games like this one. And so there's a chance prior to Wednesday that we find out some more games for Philadelphia here in 2025. And once we get that full schedule on Wednesday, we'll put up a video right here on the channel. So Eagles-Cowboys Week 1 going to take place on Thursday, September 4th at Lincoln Financial Field. Kickoff is slated for 8:20 p.m. Eastern, 5:20 out there on the West Coast. It will be broadcast on NBC and Peacock. That's usually that first game of the NFL season, kind of like last year between the Green Bay Packers and the Philadelphia Eagles in Brazil. There's always that early NBC and Peacock game. And as always, the Super Bowl champs from the year prior always have the honor of opening up the season to kick off the NFL slate. And so the Eagles Super Bowl defense will officially begin. And of course, we'll be doing a watch party for this game live on Philadelphia Eagles Now, a 90-minute pregame show. And with all of our watch parties, it's the best place to experience an Eagles game day outside of being at the actual game. That's another reason why you hit that subscribe button. And I can't wait for this game. I did think there were other better matchups available for Philadelphia, considering the home opponents that they have in 2025. And we know which teams the Eagles will be playing home and away. We will figure out officially when those games will be on Wednesday. And from the NFL standpoint here, for Roger Goodell and everybody else inside that league office, league-wide, this is an easy decision for the National Football League. Eagles-Cowboys, one of the most storied rivalries in the NFL. And what the NFL wants is for this game to draw eyeballs, to draw hype. Two major markets, two worldwide brands, two very successful organizations. The Cowboys have 5 Super Bowls, right? The Eagles have 2. And this game will do incredible ratings. The Eagles are the defending Super Bowl champions, and regardless of what you think about the Cowboys, they always have intrigue. And the atmosphere at Lincoln Financial Field on this Thursday night, it is going to be nuts. You will have fans starting to tailgate as early as 4, 5 o'clock in the morning, all throughout the day, into the afternoon, into the evening. Alcohol is going to be flowing, and the Eagles will be raising that Super Bowl 59 banner. Interestingly enough, this is the first time that the Eagles and Cowboys will play in a Week 1 opener since September of 2000. I remember this game at Texas Stadium so vividly. I was 8 years old at the time. My Eagles fandom was really starting to take hold. I started watching Eagles games when I was 4 or 5 years old. But this was year 2 of the Andy Reid, Donovan McNabb era. And there was a lot of hype for Philadelphia going into that year, coming off a season in '99 where Doug Peterson started off as the starting quarterback. Donovan McNabb took over. He played well down the stretch, and you're thinking, okay, this rebuild is on the fast track, and nobody thought that the Eagles were going to be able to make it to the NFC Championship game that year. That's when they lost to the greatest show on turf Rams team, Kurt Warner, Marshall Faulk, Torrey Holt, Isaac Bruce. That game ended pretty much when Donovan McNabb threw an interception to Aeneas Williams. But this really got that era underway, and it was an era of Eagles football that at that time was the most successful era of Eagles football. 4 straight NFC Championship games, starting with that 2000 season. And that game began with a David Akers onside kick. And it's infamously known as the pickle juice game because the field temperatures reached 130 degrees at the old Texas Stadium in Arlington. The Eagles did win 41-14, and Deuce Staley rushed for 201 yards. The Eagles defense, led by legendary defensive coordinator Jim Johnson, held the Cowboys to under 170 yards of total offense. And we're going back a little while, but Troy Aikman was the starting quarterback for the Cowboys that year. And before he suffered all those concussions, it really culminated in him having to retire. And then right after that, the Cowboys weren't able to find success for a very long time. I'm kind of mixed on this being the Week 1 game, as I noted a little bit earlier, because there were some really intriguing options when you think about the home opponents. And by the way, that year 2000, that was actually the year that the Eagles lost in the divisional round to the New York Giants. And then the next year is when the Eagles made it to the NFC Championship game in playing the St. Louis Rams that year. So just had to fact check that real quick. But either way, this was the first official playoff season under Andy Reid and Donovan McNabb in that year 2000. And they made it to the playoffs, surprisingly. And then from there, they ended up having a very successful era. And Andy Reid obviously coached in Philadelphia for 14 years. The Eagles' 2025 home schedule, though, to go back to that after the fact check. And I know a lot of people probably already commenting down in the comments section. I got you. Just had to rock my brain. It was a long time ago. Eagles-Cowboys. You start off Week 1 and you play a divisional game. Maybe you'd like to see Eagles-Cowboys take place not Week 1 and maybe a little bit later in the season, or just start off the season not having to worry about a game with so many playoff and divisional implications inside the division. I would have preferred maybe a rematch of the NFC Championship game. You get to go up against the Washington Commanders or a game against the Chicago Bears. Caleb Williams going into year 2, Ben Johnson, that new regime taking over in Chicago for Matt Eberflus, who I can't believe he was ever a head coach, but there's so much hype around Chicago. They've made so many moves this offseason to shore up the offensive line. That offense is really good. I think the defense is going to be good. And so there's all that chatter around Chicago, major market team as well. The Detroit Lions figured to be one of the top teams in the NFC this upcoming season. And how are they going to look without the aforementioned Ben Johnson, who was their awesome OC? And then Aaron Glenn, their defensive coordinator, now the head coach with the New York Jets. Another game I would have liked to have seen is maybe a divisional round rematch between the Eagles and the Los Angeles Rams. That would have been a lot of fun. Raiders, Broncos, don't really care about those. But if I could have power ranked them, I probably would have gone Lions 1, Bears 2, Commanders 3, and Cowboys 4. But Eagles, Commanders, I'm not complaining. While we're here, we'll just show you the away opponents for Philadelphia as well. These games were not options because the Eagles are opening up the 2025 season at home. You have the divisional games. Commanders, Cowboys, Giants, I think all the teams inside the NFC East have greatly improved this offseason, and they're hunting the Eagles. Eagles are going to travel to take on the Green Bay Packers, Minnesota Vikings, one of the more difficult places to play. They'll be on the road, Super Bowl 59 rematch against the Kansas City Chiefs. They'll cross the country to play the Chargers. They'll go up to New York and play the Buffalo Bills, and then they'll be on the road once again to play the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And so a pretty difficult schedule for Philadelphia here in 2025, and I'll expand on that coming up here in just a little while. More cool notes about this. This is actually the first time that the Eagles will start a regular season at home since 2019. And in that game, Eagles-Commanders, Carson Wentz was the starting quarterback under Doug Peterson. Deshaun Jackson was the leading receiver for Philadelphia. Darren Sproles, the leading rusher. Tim Jernigan had registered a sack, and the Birds went on to win 32-27. Now, coming up next, we're going to look ahead to Week 1 all the way in September for a way too early preview between the Eagles and the Cowboys. But fittingly, I do ask you this. Who you got Week 1? Cowboys, Eagles, at Lincoln Financial Field, Thursday, September 4th. Let me know down in the comments section. And if you want to give me a score prediction, you can do that, of course, as well. If you want an Eagles jersey, looking ahead to the 2025 slate, get your Eagles jerseys today. You never want to be too late. You always want to be too early. And what's wrong with going to the beach and rocking an Eagles jersey? Chatsports.com/Eagles jersey. You plug in that link, it'll take you to Fanatics. Fanatics will know that Chase Senior, Eagles Now, and Chat Sports sent you. All types of players available, all types of different jerseys available. Midnight green, black, the road whites, the Kelly greens, men's, women's, kids, all types of sizes, of course, within that range. Chatsports.com/Eagles jersey. Get your Eagles jerseys today. Of course, the betting odds are out for this week 1 tilt. The Eagles, 6.5-point favorites against the Cowboys. That's a pretty big line considering Dak Prescott's success previously against the Eagles. And these divisional games, they always figure to be close. The over-under at 46.5, but the odds makers, they really like Philadelphia in this game on this Monday, May 12th, several months away. And my thoughts on the Eagles going into week 1. Of course, they're the defending Super Bowl champions. They have the biggest jump in difficulty of schedule among all 32 teams from 2024 to 2025. We gave you a look at all of the opponents that they will play. Really difficult games, including a lot of hard road games too. And so hopefully health will be on the Eagles' side, because coming off that Super Bowl championship, as the Eagles look to repeat, it's not going to be easy considering the severity and the level of opponents in which they will play. The Eagles this offseason lost a lot of marquee players on the defensive side of the ball. So while you have Vic Fangio, you lose Kellen Moore. You have continuity at the defensive coordinator spot, but he's going to have to insert a lot of new players, and a lot of players will have more sizable roles and will have to step in to big roles for 2025. A big storyline for the Eagles, Kevin Patullo stepping in as the team's new offensive coordinator for Kellen Moore. He's arguably the most important person in this Eagles organization going into the 2025 season. You can't have a repeat of what happened with Brian Johnson 2 years ago. And while the Eagles have lost a lot of players, that's what happens when you win a Super Bowl, they still have a loaded roster and still one of the youngest teams in the NFL. And this continues to be one of those sports stats that makes no sense. The last time the NFC East had a repeat winner was all the way back in 2004. The Eagles are looking to end what has been a very odd trend. As for my thoughts on the Dallas Cowboys, the Brian Schottenheimer era starts. He is now the Cowboys head coach, taking over for Mike McCarthy. He was Dallas's offensive coordinator last year. Didn't call the plays because McCarthy did that, and really that hiring came out of nowhere. Like when the Cowboys embarked on their coaching search to replace McCarthy, and Dallas and McCarthy couldn't come to an agreement on a contract extension, nobody really thought that Schottenheimer was going to be the guy. And then that possibility started to gain some traction, and people jokingly were like, the Cowboys are really going to hire Brian Schottenheimer, right? Like, he's had no head coaching interviews to a serious nature in his entire coaching career, and they make him the head coach. I will say, I know it was just an interview and a press conference, but I did hang out at the NFL Combine to hear what he had to say, and I was actually kind of impressed with his philosophy of being the head coach. We'll see if it translates to success for Dallas. The Cowboys last week just made that George Pickens trade, and so their 1-2 punch at the wide receiver position has been a problem the last few years. Now they have CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens. If Pickens can keep his head on straight, that can be a very legitimate 1-2 punch for Dak Prescott. This is a huge year coming up for Prescott. Only 8 games played in 2024. He's missed a lot of time in recent years, and he hasn't had that playoff success. Only 2 playoff wins in his career. The Cowboys did make that trade for Joe Milton. I don't think he's seriously going to threaten Dak Prescott to be the starter, right? And that would be wild. But if Dak struggles or gets hurt again in 2025, do the Cowboys look to make a change at that quarterback spot? A big looming storyline for Dallas. Will the Michael Parsons deal get done? Dak got paid. CeeDee Lamb got paid. George Pickens is going into the final year of his contract. He's due for an extension. Michael Parsons due for an extension, and that could be $40+ million per year. And of course, with the Cowboys, no NFC Championship game appearances since 1995. The over-under for Cowboys wins this season, 8.5. The over-under we showed you on screen for the Eagles this year, 11.5. Dak has had a lot of success against the Eagles in his career. He is 9-4 in the regular season. He's also 33-8 against the NFC East. And oddly enough, with Dak having been in the league for a little while, and with Jalen Hurts getting drafted in 2020, yeah, he's only 26 years old, but he started a lot of games. We have not seen a lot of matchups with Jalen Hurts starting and Dak Prescott starting, because Dak's either been injured or Jalen Hurts has been hurt at the time that they meet. And so when Jalen Hurts started to find a lot of success, Dak Prescott was already a certified veteran. You're thinking this can be a really fun quarterback rivalry inside the NFC East. It hasn't really been, because while Dak's had a lot of success against Philadelphia, he's barely played one-on-one against Jalen Hurts. This is, of course, a win for the Eagles. They get to open up the season as the defending Super Bowl champions. They get to do it at home, raucous environment at Lincoln Financial Field, standalone game on national TV. A lot of hype between the Cowboys and the Eagles, and Philadelphia gets to raise a Super Bowl banner in front of the Cowboys. Jerry Jones, what up? I know you have those rings from the 1990s, but we noted it a little bit earlier. Cowboys have not made it past the second round of the playoffs since 1995, whereas the Eagles right now, class of the NFL, model organization, and 2 Super Bowls since 2017. I know a lot of Cowboys fans are going to be watching, and they're going to be like, yeah, we have more rings than you. In business, in life, in relationships, in sports, what have you done for me lately? And the Eagles, since 2000, they've been to NFC Championship games countless times, right? 4 straight under Andy Reid. They made it to another one in 2009. Then they made it to an NFC Championship game in 2017, 2022, and in 2024. And they've won 2 Super Bowls since 2017. The Cowboys, on the other hand, they've won a lot of double-digit games, and they've had successful seasons, but not playoff success. So, pumped up, looking ahead to Week 1 all the way in September, and NFL schedule release gives us a lot to look forward to. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button here on Philadelphia Eagles Now. Really appreciate all of you for tuning in, and we'll catch you a little bit later. I want to talk about a potential Tanner McKee trade to the New Orleans Saints after Derek Carr retired. Be on the lookout for that video.